Hello and welcome to Breaking the Cycle to Step Forward. I'm Beverley Ann and I'm joined by
Chris Tuck.
Hello. This is special edition number 3 and we're really quite excited.
We are.
Because as you can see, we're together. We're actually on Brighton Pier.
Woo, woo. So if you hear any noise in the background, please excuse us, but we wanted this to be authentic for a reason.
Yes. Hopefully you'll only hear the background of the gentle sea lapping up against the pier.
The beautiful sunshine.
We're in Brighton.
Yeah.
Get used to this.
So what are we celebrating?
We're celebrating, it's a year. So on the 1st of April last year, we were away and we were talking about breaking the cycle to step forward and launching it, what our objective was and what we wanted to achieve, even though we didn't know how to achieve it at the time.
Well, we didn't even know what to do, did we?
No.
I just said, right, we've got a camera, we've got a tripod, we've got 2 voices, let's just record. Yeah. And you went, right, let's do Zoom. And that was about as technical as it got.
Yeah, with an Excel sheet, we did all our brainstorming.
Yeah.
And we did our Excel sheet and we just got on with it. So
yeah.
We are a year on YouTube. We didn't actually get out on all of the podcast platforms till about September. So that's why we're doing this as a special edition. So if you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon,
Podbean,
yeah, many others, and you look through the episodes, you might think, it's not been a year here.
But it has since we launched, the initiation and the launch.
Yes. So this week, or the last 2 weeks for both of us, has been quite intense. And this is where we like to share some of this, because you only see us on, the 30-minute-ish episodes. And we just want to bring you up to date with some of the things that have been going on.
Yeah.
So today is Sunday. And on Wednesday, we both took part in sharing our lived experience on behalf of Social Care Week, which it was a 90-minute webinar. And we shared our own experience. And we also looked at the impact long-term of trauma experience. And also, most importantly as well, not most important, but another important factor which gets overlooked is the vicarious trauma and impact on the people in professions themselves trying to look after and safeguard children.
Yeah, I mean, because without their own health and their understanding of their own well-being and their own impact of what they witness and what they see on a day-to-day basis, how can they be in the best place to help other people? And that's no judgment on them. We just know from ourselves that self-care is so important. And if we're not in a place of the right mindset, the right health and wellness, mentally and physically, we can't help other people. So we're coming from it from that point of view.
Very much authentic. And being able to look at ourselves. And that's important as adults, because it's not something we necessarily learn. And when I say look at ourselves, how are we feeling? What are we suppressing? Do we need support to express different emotions? And as we've said time and time again, we both make sure that we check in. It may be a professional support, it may be a colleague, it may be a family member, it may be just doing something like today.
Yeah, time out. Yeah.
So on the right hand side of us, we've got the fun fair. And I don't know about you, Chris, although I don't want to go on the ride.
Yeah, I just want to go and have a look.
Yeah.
And I want to go and do the penny machine as well, because that was always something to aspire to when you was a child, and it never really happened that often.
Yeah. Even as a child, when I used to come to the sea, I'd be like, and people live here, and now I live by the sea,
don't you? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Chris, what have you been doing apart from we've both been working together this week, but alongside that, because you've had your own workshops as well?
Yeah, so I've been running the 8-week psychoeducational cleaner living therapy program with a group of survivors, and we literally finished that yesterday. We finished that, and it's been a journey for everybody, including me. I always learn new things when I run a course. How to handle a different group of people with different experiences. So yeah, it can be quite challenging at times, but because I do have a counsellor in the room, Sue, or I have you in the room, you know, people's experiences and reactions are taken care of in a very professional manner, whilst I get on and do the course criteria, the coursework.
But
Yeah,
that's also important for you, support for you. And
Yeah,
backup,
yeah.
Because when you're doing it on your, you can't continue to do it on your own.
no,
It
yeah,
makes
yeah,
it
yeah,
harder.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's someone to bounce off against as well, like before, after, and even during, to just sort of like make sure that you're doing the right by everybody, the best
as
you
you can.
can. Yeah.
What's also interesting, we wanted to share this because we're all about honesty, lived experience, professional, is the fact that we came away this weekend and we actually shared a room, a bed.
Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're friends, guys.
We thought it was going to be a twin room.
Yeah,
it was a
wasn't.
double.
Get on with it.
But what's really, and this is why we want to share this, because what was intriguing
I don't know what she's sharing yet, so I might not want her to share it.
No, but you know, some of the things that I'm so used to, and like Kevin, my husband's become aware of, is I move a lot. I
Yeah.
can't help that. I'm always turning. I go to sleep sometimes, well, most nights with an earpods in my ear. And I know there's going to be some people like, really? Yes, I do, because I have different things that I listen to soothe me. Very rare for me to be able to just turn the light off and
Just go to sleep.
I want that childlike listening to a story. For me, I choose something like Archers, and I'm not going to promote any other commercial places, but I listen to easy listening. If I like someone's voice, I'll listen to their audiobook over and over again. I'm not actually listening to what they're saying, but it's more that nurturing childlike experience of having a story read to you. And
me, I have to listen to something as well. So Bev and I both got our phones out, both got our earphones out, and climbed into bed and like went night. I watched what I wanted to watch and she listened to what she wanted to listen to. But we both have that complex PTSD like reaction, that subconscious in our bodies, that we do react to noises and movements that we're not used to.
Yeah, and being in a strange environment, we're very aware of that. But you don't listen to the gentle things like I do you?
No. I go to bed listening to Emma Kenny and her crime videos on YouTube. I actually find Emma's voice really soothing, so she can be talking about the brutalist and the violence of crimes. Yeah, I can go to sleep to it.
And this is important to share because, you know, we hear about the different aspects and, you know, we're both professionals. We hear about meditation. And one of the things I always try and get over is meditation is about what's right for you. Meditation is being able to be in the here and now. And if it means sometimes playing, I don't know, Bat Out of Hell, for instance, because I've done that as well, then you do what's right for you.
Yeah.
So I couldn't listen like.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't.
I probably shouldn't. It's expectation of others.
But it's what I find sends me to sleep.
Yeah. Whereas I like a bit more gentle. So even the Archers at times, there are times I shut them off because it's like, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah.
I need relaxation.
Yeah. And I don't always do Emma of her voice because I can't even face watching like violence and child abuse and stuff like that. Or listening to, you know, why. Because I like watching those things to get an understanding of the reasons why. I like to hear about the backstory and I like to try and understand the reasons why. I never condone anything, but I like to learn and understand.
And we've had interesting conversations. We're always having conversations about different perspectives and looking at different. There was something this morning, we won't go into it now, but I was like, no.
Oh, yeah.
And then Chris gave me a different perspective and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah,
I can see that. I don't agree with it, but I can see it.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
All right.
It's now me getting over my own thoughts and judgments. And, nothing's black and white.
Yeah.
And that's what we always want to share in this.
Can I just go back to the professionals in whatever sector that they're in? And it was really eye-opening to see that so many professionals are burnt out in their jobs and actually wanted to leave their profession. And I think that's a real worry, because, you know, there are certain institutions at the moment that are getting a bashing for the right reasons, because of the culture and the way that it's evolved,
Or
and that
accountability,
and they
I'd
need to
use.
change.
Yeah.
They need to change. The culture
Accountability.
needs to change. However, they are human beings in most of these institutions that have gone into these institutions for the right reasons.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you or I went to work and we just got bashed literally every day, and we're trying to do our best, and we are not bullying, or we're not abusive, we're just in this institution because and we're getting bashed day in, day out, you wouldn't want to stay, would
No,
you?
absolutely not. And that's
So
this is
what
the
do we need
message.
to change
Well,
to stop this happening whilst holding people accountable?
I like how you silenced me. That's a polite way. So I very much believe that, first of all, self-care is important. And we're not talking about self-care wishy-washy, like let's just think positive. No, we need to be able to understand what self-care truly is, and it needs to be inbuilt into every professional person's daily timetable. And when I say professional, it also is in any caregiver, so even parents.
Yeah.
This is really vital. Even if you're not a parent, but in some way you're supporting and safeguarding children or other vulnerable young people. Unless we know and understand about self-care, unless we understand the impact of our own stress, we're not in the best place. And what happens is we burn out. That's one of the first things, because until we're coming from the right perspective and we're firing in the best possible way, personally, health-wise, mentally-wise, we're unable to start change because it's too big. We're already stressed, so when you're trying to change something,
Yeah, you're coming from a place of an empty cup, aren't
and
you?
it just pushes you
Yeah.
over. So I think there's a lot of education about what self-care is. Vicarious trauma. How interesting is it when you speak to different professions?
Yeah.
You know,
We have
again, teachers, police people,
social care,
nursing, doctors.
government.
Yeah, vicarious trauma. You see it very much in journalists, for instance. Great example, when they're filming a war situation.
Yeah.
They're unable to stop it, and yet it's right there in front of them. That has an impact.
Yeah, so being a witness to something.
Absolutely. With being held in a place, even in a room, you know, like we understand vicarious trauma as domestic violence from a child's point of view.
Yeah.
When they hear, when they see, when they're made to be in a room, when abuse of any form is happening, that has an impact. And
Yeah.
you can't underestimate that. And we are going from children, vulnerable people, to adults, because it's important. It doesn't change.
Yeah.
Just because you become an adult doesn't mean to say you can't have an impact of it.
Can't feel that impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know what you mean by self-care, and you throw self-care around as a term as if everyone would understand what it is. Can you just explain to people what you mean by self-care? That it needs to be innate, it almost needs to be a culture thing.
Yes.
That needs to happen. So what do you actually mean?
So what I'm talking about with self-care is understanding the response between the mind and the body.
Yeah.
And when I say mind, I'm not just saying mentally and it's all in your head. I'm talking about the neurological messaging.
Yeah.
The impact of that. It's about being able to have the ability, and I'm not undermining how challenging this is. This is one of the things, it's the hardest things, is to be able to tap in and nurture yourself. And when I say nurture, I'm not talking about happy clappy. It's about understanding, wow, this is what's happening to my body. I'm being triggered. I'm reacting. I've got emotions that are suppressed here and they're trying to come out. And the impact, the first and most important key, learning how to breathe.
Yeah.
You know, I automatically, without even thinking about it now, I often take 3 deep breaths through my nose and out through my mouth. I'll be walking along here and I'll do it. As I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I take a deep breath. In the morning, the first thing I do, I check in, and it's now common practice. How am I feeling? Now, that to some people, but I don't need to do that. That's not important. You know, it's very important. Because if I don't know how I'm feeling, how can I think about what I need? And what I need is important, because if I can't ask myself, how do I expect other people around me to know what I need?
And not only that, how, if you're not in that headspace yourself, asking yourself the question, you're not then automatically going to know to ask someone else how they're feeling and what their needs are, because it's just not in your practice.
Exactly that, because self-care sounds so simple, but I also remember a time when learning to breathe 3 times was hard. I was so stuck in anxiety,
Chest breathing, yeah.
and just breathing from the top of my chest, that when I very first started to do this, I could only do 1, possibly 2. It felt like a workout, and it was a workout for my lungs.
The lungs, yeah.
But one thing that's really important to remember is food, we can go out without for months. Water, we can go without for days. Breath, we need.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's understanding science, and I have broken it down so it's that simple, because it's no good running. We need to come back to the basics, and then once we know some of the basics, then we can go forward.
Okay, so how do we bring that back to the start of our podcast today? Let's just put this on mute for 1 moment. The little vehicle going past.
What you get when you're live broadcasting. I think it's very much about education, very much. And when we say education, some schools are starting to do it with children right here and right now, which I think is fantastic. But we also need to go from top down. So we need to do it in a workplace. You know, whether the company is government run, whether it's private sector, it makes no difference. There's a big impact on sickness due to long-term stress.
Yeah,
it's the biggest cost to any industry, and yet it's not budgeted for. And the simple return on investment has a huge impact for morale, for production, and for wellness within the company, both personally and long term. And if I hear another HR person, I'm sorry, HR, let's get very passionate about this, saying our line managers are complaining that people are bringing their home life into their working life, you can't separate it. It's a bit like breaking your leg. You can't just leave a broken leg at home.
right.
It does have an impact. We are human beings. Oh yeah, I get quite.
But also, like, you'll always get some good managers within an organisation that get it. They understand that if they nurture their workforce, their staff, their team members, that they get more out of them in a nice way, because it's the culture. Yeah. It's like, we look after you, we then feel loyal, we give back to the company.
But it's that word nurture within a working environment that is often misunderstood. Same as vulnerability.
Yeah.
And yet it takes courage. And if you've got a team working effectively, you want your team to have the courage to ask for support, because that way you can all work effectively, support that person at that time, and enable you all to continue as a team.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, this is for another podcast, but bullying in the workplace and mismanaging people in the workplace because of their mental health and the way that they are presenting at work is a massive thing. So we'll keep that for another day. But for me, for this week, 2 weeks that we're talking about on this podcast, in the background, there's a lot of work going on around the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse recommendations. So people think that that's all been put on a back burner and nothing's happening. There is lots happening behind the scenes that we will be able to speak about in the future, but just haven't got anything concrete to share right at this moment. But we did have a meeting with the Home Office last week, and the feedback that we felt we got was that everybody was on the same page and things are being taken seriously and going to be taken forward. However, politicians will do what politicians do. So they might do what you want them to do, or they might not. So as I said, nothing concrete yet. But all we can do is be part of the system for change, be in it to make a change, because if you're on the outside, there's no hope. So even if you don't agree with everything, even if you don't like the people that you're dealing with for whatever reason, you have to go along with the process. Because if the pathway isn't working to change it, you need to be part of it.
Absolutely. And that's, you know, when we look back over our last year, this is part of education and awareness.
Yeah.
Is what is our main objective for this podcast, for lots of different people, for people who want to make change within themselves,
Yes.
for people who support and don't understand. You know, it's enabling everybody to have a voice, even when you don't understand, and to ask questions. So this is what our last year has been about, and will continue to be. This next year now, we're going to look to expand out. So we will have more guests in different capacities. Some sharing their own lived experience, some sharing their professional experience.
Yeah, because we want to bring to the fore the actual challenges that professionals do face on the front line, because we can be as critical as we like, but if we don't understand the actual workings from within an institution, the real challenges that they may face, then being critical is not helping the situation. We need to understand where the stuck points are and help them change those points.
Yes, and also, just because you're a professional doesn't mean to say you're not a survivor or victim yourself. And that is very important to recognise. The other thing is we want to increase our workshops and our trainings.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing that under the banner of Breaking the Cycle to Step Forward, rather than being independent voices. We still carry on our independent work, but bringing that banner forward. And this is our objective for the next year. And we wanted to share that with you.
And we want to encourage you to get in touch with us if you are a corporation, to take advantage of our insight and our knowledge and our professional capabilities. Take advantage of that. Yes, we will expect payments because we are professionals, but we've got an insight that I believe that is so valuable to the front line, to management, to culture change, that I think people be mad to miss the opportunity of working with us, to be honest.
Absolutely, because we've been there.
Yeah.
We know what it's like. We both work for other people. We both work for ourselves, independently. But we have the voice to give that, unfortunately, some people are unable to for whatever reason, and that's valid. And that's why we are passionate, because this is something that we've held true to ourselves for years now.
And nothing is not there's no go areas, is there? Everything's
okay.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that anyone can ask us anything.
Yes.
And we will be really vulnerable and really authentic about it.
Yes.
There isn't anything that I've not answered yet, is there? No.
And there are occasions with human beings that your terminology might not be in the way that we would say it, but we would highlight that as well. And that's so important when having a discussion with respect. Respect is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Have we wrapped it up for today? I think
we have. So we're going to go off after that 30-minute conversation, sharing where we've been in the last year, where we've been in the last couple of weeks,
and what we're planning to do in the future.
Yes, we're going to be childlike now and be the kids.
That we never
always were to be growing up.
All right then. Bye everyone.
Bye.